I'm so glad you're here today. I believe this message is not an accident. You may have walked in carrying questions, disappointment, or confusion about how things turned out. You did everything right, yet the door closed. You prayed, you trusted, but it didn't unfold the way you expected. And now you're wondering, why did it have to happen this way? Here's the good news. What didn't make sense then is about to make sense now. What felt like a setback was actually a setup. What you thought was a loss was a lesson preparing you for something greater. You're not behind. You're not disqualified. You're right. I'm sooner than you think. You're going to look back and say, now, I see why it had to happen this way. There are moments in life when something ends abruptly, when a door closes without explanation, when a relationship breaks, an opportunity disappears, or a plan falls apart, and you're left standing there thinking, why did this happen to me? You replay it in your mind, trying to figure out what you did wrong. You question your decisions, your faith, even your worth. But what if I told you that what felt like a loss was actually an act of mercy? What if that moment you've been struggling to understand was God quietly stepping in to protect you from something you could not see? We all want clarity in the moment. We want God to explain every detail, show us the full picture, and make everything make sense right now. But faith doesn't work that way. Faith trusts even when understanding is missing. There are times when God will remove something from your life, not because it's bad in appearance, but because it's wrong in direction. It looked promising, it felt comfortable, it seemed like the answer. But God, in His wisdom, saw what was hidden beneath the surface. You see, we judge situations by what we can see today, but God judges by where He'll lead tomorrow. He sees conversations that haven't happened yet. He sees environments that will slowly drain your joy. He sees compromises you would have been forced to make. He sees stress, regret, and pain that would have followed if that door had stayed open. So instead of letting you walk into something that would cost you peace, He closed it, even though it hurt. Sometimes we mistake God's protection for punishment. We think, why would this be taken from me if it... Just because something feels good doesn't mean it's good for you. Just because it excites you doesn't mean it aligns with your destiny. God is more concerned with your future than your feelings. He's more committed to your purpose than your comfort. Think about how many times you were disappointed by something that didn't work out, only to look back later and realize how thankful you are that it didn't. At the time, you couldn't see it. You were frustrated. You were discouraged. But now, with hindsight, you can say, if that had happened, I wouldn't be where I am today. That's not luck. That's God protecting you. There are people who were removed from your life, not because you weren't good enough, but because they weren't meant to go where God is taking you. They would have limited your growth, distracted your focus, or pulled you into battles you were never called to fight. God loves you too much to let the wrong connection sabotage the right future. So He allowed the separation, even though it hurt deeply. And here's the key. God often protects us quietly. There's no announcement, no warning, no explanation. One day, things are moving forward, and the next day, everything stops. That silence doesn't mean God has stepped away. It means He's working behind the scenes. He's blocking things you don't have the ability to block yourself. You may have wanted that job, that move, that relationship so bad. You prayed for it. You imagined your life with it. But God saw the stress it would bring, the pressure it would add, the compromise it would require. He saw how it would distract you from your calling, how it would slowly weigh you down. And instead of letting you walk into years of frustration, he stopped it early. Protection doesn't always feel good in the moment. In fact, most of the time, it feels like loss. It feels confusing. But later, it feels like grace. Later, it feels like wisdom. Later, it feels like love. If God had explained everything up front, you wouldn't need faith. But faith is trusting that God knows what He's doing even when you don't. It's believing that if He closed that door, it was for a reason greater than what you can currently see. You didn't miss out. You were spared. You weren't rejected. You were redirected. You were protected. There are battles God will never let you fight because they were never meant for you. There are storms He will never let you enter because they would have destroyed you. You may have thought you were strong enough, prepared enough, but God knows your limits, and He knows what would overwhelm you. So He intervened. One day you're gonna thank God for what didn't work out. You're going to look back and realize that what you were praying for would have been the very thing holding you back. You'll see how God saved you from stress you didn't need, pain you didn't deserve, and paths that were never meant to be yours. Right now, it may still hurt. The questions may still linger. The disappointment may still feel fresh. God hasn't changed His mind about you. He hasn't forgotten your prayers. He hasn't overlooked your faithfulness. He's simply protecting you from something that would have cost you more than you realize. Trust that God's a no is just as loving as His yes. Trust that what He removes, He replaces with something better. Trust that when the time is right, you will see clearly why it had to happen this way. And when that moment comes, you won't be bitter about what you lost. You'll be grateful for what you were spared. There are seasons when nothing seems to move forward, no matter how hard you try. You're doing the right things, praying, believing, preparing, yet progress feels slow. Days turn into months, months into years, and you start wondering why God hasn't answered yet. It's easy in those moments to feel forgotten, to think you've been overlooked, or to assume that something must be wrong with you. But the truth is, the delay you're experiencing is not denial. It is development. God never brings a blessing before the person is ready to sustain it. What you're believing carries weight. It carries responsibility, influence, and demand. If it had arrived too soon, it would have overwhelmed you, distracted you, or even damaged you. God is too loving to give you something that you're not yet prepared to handle. So instead of rushing the promise, He takes time to prepare the person. We often pray for the outcome, but God focuses on the capacity. We ask for increase, but He works on character. We want the platform. He strengthens the foundation. The delay is where endurance is built, where faith is stretched, where wisdom is formed. Without this season, the blessing would come, but it wouldn't last. Think about how much growth happens in hidden places. Roots grow underground before anything appears above the surface. Nothing looks like it's happening, but everything necessary is taking place. In the same way, God is working in you beneath the surface. He's developing patience, humility, discipline, and trust. These qualities aren't built overnight. They are formed over time, through waiting, through pressure, through unanswered questions. If God had moved faster, you might have relied on talent instead of faith. You might have trusted your strength instead of His guidance. You might have skipped lessons that are essential for where you're going. The delay is protecting you from shortcuts that lead to burnout and regret. There are things you can only learn when life slows down, when doors don't open right away. You learn how to stay faithful without applause. You learn how to keep showing up when no one is watching. Trust God without visible evidence. These are the qualities that sustain long-term success, peace, and purpose. Sometimes the delay isn't about changing the situation. It's about changing you. God is aligning your heart with His timing. He's refining your motives so that when the blessing comes, it won't control you. He's teaching you to find joy in the process, not just the outcome. That way, when your prayers are answered, you'll steward the blessing with gratitude, not entitlement. It's also in the delay that God heals what you didn't realize. He addresses wounds, fears, and insecurities that would have surfaced later under pressure. Imagine stepping into your next level still carrying unresolved pain from your past. The weight of the blessing would expose what the waiting season was meant to heal. God delays not to frustrate you, but to restore you. You may feel ready now, but God sees the full picture. He knows what's ahead. He knows the challenges, the responsibilities, the people you'll have to lead, the decisions you'll have to make. And He's ensuring that when you arrive, you won't just survive, you'll thrive. Every season of waiting is adding strength to you. Every disappointment you endure without giving up is building resilience. Every prayer without immediate results is deepening your faith. You are becoming more grounded, more mature, more prepared than you were before. One day, when the door finally opens, you'll step into it with confidence, not fear. You'll have the success and the humility to stay dependent on God. You'll look back and realize that if it had happened earlier, you wouldn't have been the person you needed to be. The delay is not wasting your time. It's investing in your future. God is not slow. He is strategic. He knows exactly when you'll be ready and exactly when the blessing will have maximum impact. And when it comes, it will feel right. It will fit who you've become. So don't rush the process. Don't compare your timeline to someone else's. What God is preparing for you is tailor-made, and the preparation must be just as specific. Trust that every moment of waiting is adding something valuable to your life. You're being built up. And when the blessing arrives, you'll understand that the delay wasn't an obstacle. It was the very thing that made it possible. There are times in life when you can't connect the dots going forward. You look at what happened, and it feels random, unfair, even unnecessary. You did your best, you stayed faithful, yet the outcome didn't match your expectation. In those moments, it's easy to assume that things fell apart for no reason. But purpose is often hidden until the right moment. What feels confusing now will become clear when God reveals what He was preparing all along. Some answers don't come immediately because they would overwhelm you. If God showed you the full picture too soon, you might become afraid of the journey or impatient with the process. So He allows you to walk by faith, step by step, trusting Him without seeing the destination. It's only later, when you arrive at your next level, that the pieces begin to fit together. You may look back and realize that if one thing had worked out differently, you wouldn't have met the right people. If one door hadn't closed, you wouldn't have discovered new strength within yourself. If one plan hadn't failed, you wouldn't have been positioned for something greater. What once felt like disruption was actually alignment. Purpose has a way of revealing itself in layers. First comes the challenge, then the growth, and finally, the understanding. God doesn't waste pain. Every disappointment, every detour carries meaning. Even when you can't see it yet, The struggle you endured is connected to the impact you're going to have. When God brings you into a new season, you'll notice how perfectly prepared you are. The lessons you learned, the patience you developed, the resilience you gained, they will all be required in this next chapter. That's when clarity comes. That's when you realize you couldn't have skipped what you went through and still arrived ready. Often, God allows things to unfold in a way that protects your future testimony. If everything worked out easily, you might never recognize how faithful He was. But when you see how He brought you through difficulty and still fulfilled His promise, your faith becomes unshakable. You don't just believe because someone told you, you believe because you've experienced it. There will be moments when you look back and say, "Oh, now I understand." You'll see how the rejection redirected you, how the delay refined you, how the disappointment strengthened you. What once caused tears will now bring gratitude. What once confused you will now encourage others. Your life will begin to tell a story of purpose instead of pain. You'll recognize that every step was ordered. Even the heart wasn't reacting to your circumstances. He was orchestrating them. He was positioning you for influence, for growth, for impact that wouldn't have been possible any other way. Sometimes the breakthrough doesn't just change your situation, it changes your perspective. You no longer see what happened as a mistake. You see it as preparation. You no longer resent the process, you respect it. You no longer question God's timing. You trust it. When purpose is revealed, peace follows. You stop replaying the past and start appreciating it. You stop asking, "Why did this happen to me?" and start saying, "Thank God it happened for me." That shift doesn't come from time alone. It comes from understanding. And that understanding will come. God is not finished writing your story. The chapter you're in may be difficult, but it's not the conclusion. When you step into what He has prepared, the confusion will fade, the pain will make sense, and the journey will feel worth it. One day, you'll stand in a place you once prayed for, and you'll look back with clarity. You'll see how every closed door, every delay, every fixed turn was necessary. And with confidence, you'll say, "And now I see why it had to happen this way." So today, I want you to walk out of here knowing this. Nothing that has happened in your life has been wasted. Every closed door, every delay, every disappointment was a part of God's plan to protect you, develop you, and position you for your destiny. You may not understand it now. You were never overlooked. You were never forgotten. You were being prepared for something greater, something bigger, and something better than you could have imagined. The challenges you faced, the detours you endured, the delays you experienced, they were not setbacks. And when the timing is right, you will look back and see that it all happened exactly as it was supposed to. Trust that God is working behind the scenes even when you can't see it. Keep your faith strong, keep believing, and keep moving forward. Your breakthrough is coming. Your blessing is on the way. And soon, you will stand in a place of clarity, understanding, and victory, saying with confidence, "And now I see why it had to happen this way." Remember this, your past has prepared your present, and your present is shaping your future. Stay encouraged, stay faithful, and get ready to step into the destiny that was always meant for you.